one of Yahoo's finest as well, is here on the phone line, Dan Wetzel, to help me walk through the process of getting set for Super Bowl 51 Storyline Week here on The Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Dan?
I am well, Rich. How are you?
I'm fine. So you decide to write about, of all things, Deflategate. I thought we buried this thing. Dan, didn't it get buried?
Sorry, America. It's unburied. I don't know if everyone else in the country can grasp, unless you come up to Boston, New England, and talk to people and listen to the radio and hear the fans, how they are not over Deflategate. And this, even though the Patriots were there 2 years ago, right after it started, this, to Patriots fans and the Patriots organization, how much they want to admit it publicly, is about winning a Super Bowl, certainly, but also winning a Super Bowl and showing up Roger Goodell and the league office that they got the Deflategate wrong, that the suspension of Brady didn't work, that the draft pick they took away didn't work, and New England is quite ready to relitigate the entire case. We'll see how much it plays into it, but this is not what Roger Goodell or the league office is going to really enjoy during Super Bowl week in Houston.
So your headline is, "Here comes Tom Brady and the Patriots, and there's no hiding for Roger Goodell now." When I used to write columns, I always used to get upset that people would ascribe a headline to me, because usually those aren't written by the actual columnist. So you believe that Roger Goodell has been, in fact, purposely hiding from New England because of why, Dan?
Well, I don't know if he's hiding, but in the last 2 years, he has not appeared at a game in Foxborough. And so since Deflategate began, he hasn't shown up. And that is quite unusual for Goodell, who made regular appearances up in Foxborough throughout the years. It's near New York, and obviously this is the currently signature franchise of the NFL. So by not coming, and I think this was just a tactical error by Goodell. He needed to show up the next year. He needed to show up multiple times, even if it's at a 1 o'clock game against the Bills. You just show up and you let the fans boo, whatever, you make an appearance. By not coming and it growing across the 2 years, it became a big issue last week. Is Goodell going to come? Instead, he went to Atlanta 2 weeks in a row. He isn't here. That emboldens Patriots fans and the organization that Goodell feels the case is weak. He doesn't want to face the music. He can't deal with it. All of that. Is that true? I don't know. But I consider this just a tactical error by Roger Goodell. Now he's got to be there for the Super Bowl. By not coming, he created Where's Roger as a storyline. And so yesterday's game, Scott Zolak, the popular radio voice and former quarterback for the Patriots, he held up a sign, "Where's Roger? Where is Roger?" from the radio booth, the team radio booth. The crowd is chanting, singing, "Roger, Roger, where's Roger?" over and over. There's people with signs. It's a big, huge rallying cry for Patriots fans who want to make it out to be them against Goodell. They're the point. So Goodell should have come to New England at some point in the last 2 years. He didn't. Now it's a big deal, particularly if it's Super Bowl Sunday, particularly if he has to be there as the Vince Lombardi trophy would be handed over to Robert Kraft, or a league game MVP trophy is given to Tom Brady, who he suspended for a quarter of this season.
Dan Wetzel of Yahoo Sports joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. How much do you think the management and Brady and Belichick share the sentiment of the fan base and Zolak, or do they just feed into it knowing that it's a piece of red meat for their base? What do you think on that, Dan?
Well, you heard Kraft yesterday when they gave him the Lamar Hunt trophy say everybody in this stadium knows why this win was big. And he said for reasons unstated or something like that. Because clearly he was talking about Deflategate. Brady has taken has publicly almost never lashed out at this and tried to just ignore it as a distraction and stayed away from it. I think that's what Belichick wants. But privately, there's absolutely no question that Brady and Brady's family and the people around him, his management and his friends, as well as Belichick and the people around him, clearly think this was an ill-conceived witch hunt. They didn't have proof that the footballs are deflated. They went after Brady to try to get at Belichick for Spygate, all the different things that went on. Again, whether all this stuff 100% is true or not, in the New England psyche, it is true. And so that's what the emotion they're going to bring to this. But I don't think there's any question that this was about the league against the Patriots. Because remember, when Deflategate began and the original reports started coming out, 11 to 12 footballs are significantly deflated, the Patriots were begging the league to release the information to them so they could figure out whether that was true, whether they could counter it, what was going on. And the league was saying, we don't have any, we can't give you the information. And they let that stuff hang out there in the public for 4 months until later, long after a lot of sentiment is baked, it comes out, well, actually, they weren't that significantly deflated. And then all of a sudden the scientists could say, hey, you know what, this actually proves innocence, not guilt. And all the different things you'll hear from any Patriots fan. So there is definitely a conflicted or a conflict between the league and this franchise, and then boom, here they are back in the Super Bowl.
So do you think this is the number one storyline that you and the rest of the national media and all of us are going to be talking about, or does Brady's legacy sit at the top, the Belichick legacy sit there? I'm just going.
I think those are all big. I think Atlanta is an exciting team. I think there's some Atlanta storylines. But
yeah, let's hit that, because I mean, everyone's.
I would say this.
It's going to take a while to get down to
lack of oxygen that the Patriots are going to provide this story.
Right.
They snuff it out. It's not like Belichick's going to get up there and start ranting. So there'll be nothing said officially, and I think that will slow the story a little bit. But Goodell's going to get asked about it at his press conference.
That's on Wednesday of next week, as opposed to Friday. That was moved up for 2 days, and then there are many who think that the league did that to cast less of a spotlight on it. I mean, how much smoke is there?
The Wednesday is worse for the league because it's in the middle of everything, not by the end of the week when people are kind of tired of reading about the Super Bowl.
That's what I didn't get that if it's earlier in the week, then there's less people that are in town. I mean, pretty much everyone I know shows up on Sunday before if you're going to cover the game, but neither here nor there. Let's drill down to Atlanta here. I mean, what is the top storylines for the Falcons and covering them, Dan?
Well, I think the offense alone. I mean, this is potentially an historically breakout offense. Matt Ryan's statistics and the numbers across the board in so many different spots, and I don't have them all in front of me, but are so significant. And I think they kind of came out of nowhere because they just had so few big national games this year. But what they just did the last 2 weeks of the playoffs, and how good they are, and what they could potentially do to a Patriots defense that has come along very, very well, but we'll see. I think is a huge storyline. I mean, I don't think anyone's taking, certainly no one in the Patriots organization, just being in that locker room last night, is taking Atlanta for granted or anything like that. Like, this is going to be a significant challenge. How do you stop this offense? How is Matt Ryan developed into this, MVP level quarterback? Dan Quinn is certainly had immense success. Dan Quinn was the defensive coordinator when the Patriots in Seattle played 2 years ago. I think there's some bit there. I think there's a lot of exciting things that are going on with Atlanta. Obviously, New England's the team that everyone's mother knows about, and everyone's grandmother knows about because it's Brady and they've been around. But this may be the start of something for Atlanta, and I think there's kind of an interesting. These might be the final years of this era of New England. You might see something coming up here with Atlanta.
All right, Dan. Thanks. Appreciate the time. We'll chat
Appreciate
soon.
it.
You got it. Dan Wetzel of YAHOO Sports. Got to read his stuff.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.